Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic that I've seen a couple people talk about, but I kind of wanted to do my own take on it, and that is, what if Naruto was an Uchiha instead of an Uzumaki? Because not gonna lie, the Uchiha clan has a lot more hacks, a lot more interesting in general, versus the Uzumaki, who have just been known to have like large chakra reserves. So what would have happened to Naruto as a character, and how would that have impacted the story if he was born as an Uchiha rather than an Uzumaki? Now, to prevent extreme changes to the initial story, I'm gonna assume that Minato was still his dad, but he married an Uchiha, right? He was still part of the Namikaze clan, but he married an Uchiha. And as a result, this would mean that there wouldn't be a coup, because Minato's literal wife was an Uchiha. So all the Uchiha would end up surviving. There would not be an Uchiha clan massacre, because the Uchiha clan wouldn't be suspected of being responsible for the Nine-Tailed attack, because Minato, the Hokage, the current Hokage, was so close to the Uchihas, and also his wife would have still died and suffered the same fate, right? As a result, Itachi wouldn't end up joining the Akatsuki later on. Orochimaru wouldn't join either, because he partially joined to take Itachi's body. Naruto wouldn't be as alone as a child, because he still has his whole clan. And Hiruzen would probably end up becoming Hokage again, because obviously Minato would still die, until they nominate the next Hokage, and it would probably end up being Fugaku, as he was amongst the candidates for the fourth Hokage, but Minato was chosen over him originally. Without the tension amongst the Uchiha clan and the rest of the village, he might actually become Hokage this time, which makes a lot more sense over Tsunade and Jiraiya, who had no initial interest at the time. I'm also assuming that Hiruzen gets killed by Orochimaru during that brief time that he resumes as Hokage, much like happened before, and I'm also assuming that Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura still end up making Team 7. Now, Naruto still being the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tails would probably lead to many similar events as Team 7, such as the fight with Zabuza and Haku. The main difference being that Naruto, being a rival of Sasuke, would awaken the Sharingan parallel to Sasuke, and on top of that, mainly be because of the influence of the Nine-Tails, not his own chakra reserves, because this time he is no longer part of the Uzumaki clan. I would still see Naruto train with Jiraiya, and probably Shisui, since Shisui would still be alive at this point in time, and I kind of see him being like an older brother type figure to Naruto, much like how Itachi was to Sasuke. Sasuke, on the other hand, would train with Itachi and Fugaku to master the Sharingan. I don't think he would get the curse mark from Orochimaru, because, you know, the Uchiha clan is still intact, and Itachi would be more suitable anyways, and he would be in the Leaf Village. So I think Orochimaru's eyes would be more on Itachi. And I think he would have stayed away from Sasuke, seeing that he is the son of the current Hokage, and Itachi's still in the village, and you got all these Uchihas running around. I think he would probably stay away. If he does decide to pursue Itachi, he would probably end up being sealed away by Itachi's Totsuka blade, much like he was in the original franchise. I also think Danzo will probably still end up trying to take Shisui out because of his distaste for the Uchiha, and he'd probably be one of the people who still thinks that the Uchiha caused the attack of the Nine-Tails so Fugaku could become Hokage. I think this would kind of spark him to create his own regime and take out Shisui again in a very similar way that happened in the original franchise, you know what I mean? Shisui would die, giving his Sharingan to Itachi, and allowing Naruto to awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan. The Akatsuki's goal would still be to collect all the tailed beasts, and Naruto would still be a target. And while that's kind of happening, Fugaku would find out about Danzo, and I think he would take care of him. And I mean, hey, if he needs help, he's got, you know, Kakashi, Itachi, Sasuke. He's got all these people he can rely on, so I don't think it would be an issue taking him out too much once he actually finds out what he's done. Because remember that Danzo would probably take out Shisui first, or at least target him first, because he's the biggest threat, seeing that he has one of the strongest Sharingan guns. Later on, Jiraiya would still die to pain. If Naruto hadn't awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan already, he would have awakened at this point where Jiraiya dies, and he would probably get Shisui's eyes implanted into him to get the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. So the fact of him losing his light won't be too much of an issue. You know, Pain then proceeds to like attack the Hidden Leaf Village, and you know, Tsunade, hearing that Jiraiya died, would definitely return back to the Leaf Village, assisting and healing those who survived the initial Shinra Tensei. Fugaku, who actually scales to a young Teen Itachi, would probably lose to Pain, although we don't know what his Mangekyo abilities are. I think he would still lose. Sasuke doesn't even have a Mangekyo Sharingan, probably wouldn't be a huge threat to Pain. He doesn't have the curse mark, doesn't have Mangekyo Sharingan, but I do see him putting up a relatively good fight, maybe something like how Kakashi did against Pain in the Diva Path. Until Naruto comes back with the initial Sage mode, I can see Itachi putting up the best fight here. Maybe after hearing about the commotion at Konoha, he comes back from a mission, an Anbu mission, as soon as possible. And narratively speaking here, I think this would make the most sense for Itachi to die here. Now, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but I mean, first of all, kind of think about it. He was really sick, and he could still be losing his light depending on how much he used his Mangekyo Sharingan during his missions. You could argue that Tsukiyomi would be one of his best secret weapons, but it'd be very difficult to get all the passive pain under the Genjutsu, kind of like how Jiraiya tried to do a Genjutsu against the passive pain. He was able to succeed getting 3 passive pain in his Genjutsu, but it was an audio Genjutsu, whereas Itachi's is a visual Genjutsu, and it's going to be tough for him to get all these passive pain under his Genjutsu. So I don't think Tsukiyomi will work too well. On top of that, it's going to put more strain on his Mangekyo Sharingan, allowing him to lose his light even farther. On top of that, Nagato would know who he's dealing with, and that, you know, he specializes in Genjutsus because, you know, the Hokage, Sasuke, Itachi, he knows that these Uchihas specialize in Genjutsu. And Itachi's last moves would be the Susanoo, and you might be able to try to seal him away. But, you know, with the outer path, this might not even work. Even if the outer path doesn't succeed in reviving the paths that were sealed away by Itachi, you know, a fatigued Itachi would still have to deal with all the other pains, and I don't see him being able to seal every single path of pain. The only argument that I think would be in favor of Itachi winning this fight would be that he was able to keep up with the KCM Naruto, but that was after he was already reanimated and Naruto wasn't trying to kill him. He was just trying to get information and figure out kind of what was going on. And also reanimated Itachi wasn't, you know, half blind and coughing blood. So I think it's safe to say that a very sick Itachi would probably lose this fight. But I think he would stall enough for Naruto to come back, and he would eventually die. Naruto at this point would have EMS, and Sage Mode would probably clap Pain's cheeks, and he might not even have to use all the 8 tails that he used previously. Sasuke, upon regaining consciousness, would definitely awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan now that Itachi died, and he would probably get the eyes implanted as well to get his own EMS. Now, I think from here on out, this is where things start kind of going back to how they were in the original franchise. You know, the Great Shinobi, the 4th Great Shinobi War would be very similar to how it was before. Instead of Tsunade teaming up with the Kage, it would be Fugaku instead. He might even die because Fugaku definitely cannot survive the attacks that Tsunade survived with her healing jutsu, but again, she was putting herself in more dangerous situations because of her 100 healings jutsu. Now, Naruto and Sasuke would still end up getting the pieces of Hagoromo and would still awaken, you know, 6 pass Jutsu and the Rinnegan like they did previously. In the final fights with Madara and Kaguya, I can't see them being too different, as, you know, those 6 pass amps were what really took them to the next level. If anything, Naruto would just be a little bit stronger than he was previously, and there probably wouldn't be the final battle that there was before because Sasuke would have no reason to turn on the Hidden Leaf, and they would still end up being friends and end up the franchise with both of their arms. Now, this really gets interesting in the Boruto franchise, but I'm going to leave it off here. Don't forget to join the Discord down below. And if you guys want me to talk about what would have happened in the Boruto franchise if Naruto was an Uchiha, definitely let me know. And give me some more video ideas. I'm always down there looking. And again, if you guys like more videos like this, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.